Usually when we think about preserving a culture, or ensuring that a legacy survives the absolute worst of human history,
Right.
we picture physical things.
Right, yeah. Tangible records.
Exactly. You carve your laws into granite, you bury the stone tablets deep in the sand, and you just sort of hope someone digs them up 1,000 years later.
Yeah, because they offer a sense of security, right? They
Yeah.
provide undeniable, solid proof of existence. I mean, you can trace your fingers over the letters.
But when you step into the world of linguistics and ancient mythology, that stone tablet isn't stone at all. So today's mission for this deep dive is exploring a method of preservation that is completely invisible.
Completely. And it's a fascinating concept.
It really is. We're looking at a highly original, densely layered academic thesis. And this is derived from a philosophical dialogue between an author named Karekin and an AI. We are diving into what they call the Armenian Logos.
Yeah. And it is a profoundly intricate framework. And just to set the parameters right away, we are presenting this material today as a conceptual academic thesis. And I should be very explicit here. As we delve into the historical applications specifically regarding the actions of the Ottoman Empire or the definition of genocide, we are impartially reporting the theoretical narrative exactly as it's presented in the source material.
Yeah, we're not endorsing a specific political side.
Exactly. We are not taking a political stance. We're simply exploring the author's profound claims about language, power, and identity, and observing how this academic framework interprets immensely heavy historical events.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the thesis starts by suggesting that the Armenian language isn't just like a communication tool.
No, not at all.
It's framed as a conscious, deliberate cosmic code.
Aye.
And it's rooted in the very first-person perspective of the universe.
Yeah.
They call this perspective Meg, which comes from Mek, the Armenian word for the number one.
Right. So to understand how Meg operates within this thesis, we really have to look at the phonetic anatomy of the word itself. The author breaks it down into 3 acoustic components, and each represents a fundamental cosmic act. So the M represents the primordial sound of convergence.
Like drawing things together.
Exactly. If you think of the AM in Eastern philosophical traditions, it's that same concept. It's the gathering and drawing inward of all universal potential.
Ah. Okay, so it's a phonetic representation of pulling everything into a single point.
Yes. And then the E stems from the Armenian verb M, which means to exist.
Okay.
So it's the sound of pure being. And finally, the G represents solid ground, the material anchor.
Wow.
So Meg isn't just the integer one. It functions as the observer point. It is the I that perceives, names, and organizes the cosmos.
So every other word builds from there.
Yeah, I mean, every subsequent number, every word spoken is merely a modulation of this singular, grounded awareness.
But, I mean, if the word itself is an observer point, that places a massive conceptual burden on the physical act of speaking.
It really does.
Does the thesis trace this back to a specific physical origin? Like, how does the human body actually process this?
It does, yeah. And it maps it directly onto human anatomy through the mythological forefather of the Armenians, whose name is Haik.
Haik. Okay.
Right. Tradition holds that Haik defeated the Babylonian giant Bel, but the thesis goes further by breaking his name down into physiological actions.
Like we just did with Meg.
Exactly. So the H represents the spirit, the breath, the primordial sound of existence pushing outward from the lungs.
So that initial exhale.
Yeah. And then the AI is the generative flow, the glide of that sound. And the K is the point of impact on the palate.
Wait, why does the physical impact of air on the palate specifically equate to, like, matter turning into form here? Is it just the friction of the breath?
Well, it's the acoustic stop.
Oh, I see.
You have breath, which is formless, invisible, continuous, suddenly hitting a physical, biological barrier in the mouth. That collision creates the hard consonant K.
It's the physical manifestation of spirit.
Right. It's the breath suddenly crystallizing into solid matter. Together, Haik signifies the dawn light of revelation. It's the moment the I becomes conscious of itself through the physical friction of speech.
Think of this like a computer's source code, but instead of running on silicon, it's running on human vocal cords and breath.
That's a great analogy.
Every time a word is spoken, the cosmos is being geometrically mapped. It's not like reading a dictionary, it's more like acoustic resonance in architecture.
Yes, exactly.
Like how the shape of a cathedral physically dictates the sound of a choir. The shape of the human mouth, the palate, the vocal tract. is dictating the acoustic geometry of the cosmos.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. The human skull basically becomes the cathedral.
Wow.
And this acoustic mapping continues seamlessly into how they count. The numbers are geometric progressions. But the culmination of the single digits is where this physiological mapping gets incredibly specific.
Okay, where does it go?
To the number 9, or Ingarian Armenian.
Phonetically, that's a highly resonant nasal sound.
Yes, it is. And the author points out that this specific nasal resonance is generated purely in the sacred chamber of the human nasal cavity.
Interesting.
It represents completion. It's the vibration reverberating through the highest physical chamber of the skull, signaling the absolute end of the first cycle of numbers. The space is completely full.
So we hit completion with 9. But where does the count go next? Because, I mean, hitting that ceiling means you need a mechanism to reset, right? Or elevate to the next tier.
Yeah, and that leads us directly to 10, which is das. And das doesn't function merely as an integer.
What does it mean?
It translates to position or arrangement. It is the platform, the launch pad for the next order of magnitude.
Oh, I love that.
Right. In this linguistic code, 0 isn't a mathematical void. It is simply the silent breath between the completion of 9 in and the new physical plateau of 10 das.
It's the physical inhale before the next octave.
Exactly.
But, this brings up a massive conflict. If people's language is a physical manifestation of their destiny, if the people speaking it are breathing time capsules of this cosmic geometric architecture, what happens when an empire tries to steal that destiny?
Well, empires generally do not tolerate alternative architectures of reality.
Right. They want one reality, theirs.
They certainly do. And to explore the mechanics of that conflict, the thesis introduces a deeply compelling mythological parallel. It looks back to ancient Sumerian mythology.
Okay, which myth?
Specifically the myth of the Anzu bird.
The Anzu bird.
Yeah. The Anzu was this massive divine storm bird that committed the ultimate cosmic theft. It stole the Tablet of Destinies from the gods.
What exactly was on that tablet? Is it a literal list of laws, or is it more abstract?
It is essentially the source code of reality. It's the decrees that govern civilization, the laws of physics, language, and fate itself.
So whoever holds the tablet holds the absolute authority to dictate reality.
Exactly. But the commercial detail in the myth isn't just that the Anzu bird stole the tablet, it's what it did with it.
Which was?
It swallowed it.
Swallowed it, rather than just locking it away in a vault?
Because swallowing is an act of total internalization. The bird wanted to literally embody the laws of the cosmos, to be the sole, unquestionable author of reality.
I see.
And here is where the thesis bridges the myth with the Armenian Logos. It proposes that the Armenian people, as inheritors of the code through Haik, who, again, defeated the Babylonian giant Bel in a battle that echoes this ancient conflict.
Right.
They are the keepers of this swallowed tablet.
So the Anzu bird, representing any totalizing empire, swallowed the Tablet of Destinies, but it couldn't actually digest it. I mean, it's cosmic geometry. It's not organic food.
Precisely. It couldn't be digested. So the code lodged itself in the physiology of the people who inherited the language.
In their bodies.
Yes. The code survived within the physical phonetic architecture we just discussed. In their breath, the H. In their nasal chamber, the sound INRE. In their tongue and palate, the K, as the point of impact.
But let me push back on this mechanically for a second. So, if this code isn't written on stone, but is actually hidden inside the physical anatomy and the involuntary breath of a culture, how does a hostile empire try to steal it back? Or destroy it? You can't just confiscate breath. You can't put a palate strike in a museum or ban a nasal vibration.
No, you really cannot confiscate a breath,
Right.
Which forces the empire to take a much darker, much more absolute path.
Right.
This raises a grim question. If you cannot extract the tablet from the keeper, what do you do with the keeper?
You erase them entirely.
Yes. To steal or silence the code, the empire must erase the keepers of the code.
It is heavy.
It is. And this is where the academic thesis confronts the historical reality of the Armenian Genocide. It asks whether this historical horror might be connected, symbolically or karmically, to that ancient battle over the swallowed tablet.
It fundamentally reframes the violence. It's not just a political, territorial, or ethnic dispute.
No.
It's an attempt to literally silence the breath, the H.
Sure.
To scatter the body and break the spirit so those specific acoustic geometries are never formed again.
Exactly. And the author delves deeply into the psychology required to execute this, examining what he terms the dictator's mind.
The dictator's mind.
Yes, we see echoes of this mind in ancient myths, like Zeus punishing all of humanity simply for Prometheus's theft of fire, and we see it clear in the Ottoman imperial narrative. The dictator's mind functions by totalizing identity.
Meaning it strips away that meg, the individual observer point we talked about earlier.
Completely. It erases the individual I and replaces it with a monolith. The core logic of the dictator is this. If one member of a group defies the imperial order, the entire group is inherently guilty.
Wow, yeah.
That totalizing narrative is the specific mechanism that justifies collective punishment. It is how genocide is framed by the perpetrator, not as an aggressive, unprovoked erasure, but as a justified response or a necessary administrative pacification.
You create a collective guilt so vast that the erasure of an entire people seems like state maintenance, and that brings an immense, heavy resonance to the word genocide itself. Because Raphael Lemkin didn't coin that term until 1944. And he coined it specifically while examining the Armenian experience.
That's right. Lemkin recognized that the crime he was studying went far beyond the parameters of just mass killing.
Right. It was something else entirely.
What he was observing was the systematic, deliberate destruction of a people's language, their culture, and their sacred knowledge. He needed a new word because the established vocabulary of war crimes simply did not cover the intentional dismantling of a culture's reality.
If we view this through the lens of the thesis, claiming causality and resonance, the coining of the word makes horrifying sense.
It really does. What's fascinating here is what genocide truly is under this framework, an attempt to swallow a people's destiny.
You make them forget who they are.
Yes. The empire wanted to ensure complete control over reality by making the keepers forget their breath, their numbers, their gods, and ultimately their self-name.
And the Armenians call themselves HAI, right?
Exactly. HAI. The dictator's mind needed to erase HAI, because as long as someone is breathing that word, the tablet hasn't been fully digested. The empire does not have total control over destiny.
But the breath wasn't silenced. Which brings us to the survival of the code.
Yes.
And I think it's crucial here to look at the author, Karekin, because for him, this isn't just an abstract intellectual exercise mapped out in some university library.
Oh, not at all.
The source material shows this is the culmination of an 80-year personal journey.
It is deeply personal, and it was born out of direct exposure to the mechanisms of empire. Karekin actually survived a jail cell in Kyrenia during the 1974 invasion of Cyprus.
I can't even imagine.
And while he was detained, he possessed a British passport that notably lacked any listing for religion or race.
Oh, wow. Which effectively breaks the dictator's mind.
Oh.
Because the totalizing narrative relies entirely on tags.
Exactly.
If they can't tag you with a collective identity, their whole justification for how to process you just sort of falls apart.
Right. He realized in that cell that the identities and the tags empires force upon populations are just administrative weapons.
Yeah.
They are designed to categorize, control, and, if necessary, erase. But because the Anzu bird, the empire couldn't digest the Tablet of Destinies, the ancient code remained intact beneath those arbitrary administrative tags.
Which leads to this incredible concept in the thesis, the idea of regurgitation.
Yes, regurgitation.
The empire swallowed the destiny, but every time the language is spoken, the tablet is involuntarily brought back up into the light.
The physical act of speaking the Armenian tongue, utilizing its specific geometric and acoustic properties, acts as a continuous biological rejection of the empire's digestion.
That is so profound.
And the author even deconstructs the Armenian word for mouth, which is perian. He decodes pirar to mean bring and an to mean heaven.
The mouth translates mechanically to the bringer of heaven.
Right. It elevates the mouth from a mere biological opening to a cosmic portal.
A portal.
It is the threshold through which the divine geometry of the code enters the material world. The dictator attempts to permanently seal the mouths to secure the swallowed destiny, but piran cannot be forced shut forever.
It's just too foundational.
Exactly. The vibration is simply too fundamental to the human condition. The breath could not be stopped.
It's like an empire trying to swallow a seed to destroy it, not realizing that the seed is completely indigestible.
That's a great way to put it.
And by swallowing it, they've only ensured it will eventually be planted and grow again. The breath couldn't be cut, only held or released.
That's a very powerful way to frame it. It could be suffocated for a time under the immense weight of tyranny, but eventually it must be released.
Yeah.
And in that release, the totalizing guilt tag is rejected. The individual meg reasserts itself in the cosmos. The breath didn't stop, which means the empire ultimately failed to rewrite reality.
So for you listening to this right now, why does a dense, mythological, linguistic framework about the Armenian Logos matter to your daily life?
It's a valid question.
Because it completely reshapes how we view language. Language isn't just a tool for communication. It might be the physical architecture of survival against tyranny.
It suggests that the words we speak are not just abstract symbols floating in the air, but physical acts of creation and resistance.
Right.
It asks us to look at the very mechanics of our speech, the way our breath hits our palate, the resonance in our nasal chambers, as carrying the profound weight of history and destiny.
It is the code that remembers who we are when the world tries to force us to forget.
And it leaves us with a profound question to consider as we move through the world.
What's that?
If the breath and sound of a single language can act as an indigestible code, a swallowed tablet of destinies that outlasts an empire's attempt to systematically erase it, what hidden destinies, what ancient cosmic battles might be vibrating in the everyday words you are breathing into existence right now?
Are your vocal cords echoing an ancient source code you didn't even know was running? It certainly makes you pay a lot more attention to the shape of your mouth when you speak. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep exploring.